And my concern, and our, I may say, I'm not alone. There are many now, not so many, but some intellectuals, Maghrebian intellectuals especially, who are working and who have been trained through this French line. Because the French line, if you look outside the Arabist milieu, you can really discover some tools, some intellectual tools, which you cannot discover through English culture or through German culture. This must be said. And the intellectual tools given by French scholarship outside Arabist can give us the possibility to have another look and another relation with what the Arabs call the turath, the heritage, our heritage. How to look to this heritage? This is a very big issue. I would like to end my talk just to stress this point, and I hope you will ask me questions to give me the possibility to go more deep in these questions. How to apply these new sciences, this new methodology to Islamic studies today. Of course, we must respect all the demands of Muslims today. The demands of Muslims today, as you know, is to go back to the golden age of Islamic thought, the golden age of Islamic culture, and even we have a trend which we may describe as a mythical trend. This trend which says that we must go back to the time of the Prophet because everything is there, everything has been said, and all the truth is there. We must then go there and take all the truth and start again our history. You know very well this position, which is typically a mythical position, which creates for us a responsibility how to deal now, since this discourse exists and it is the dominant discourse, how to deal with this Islamic discourse today, which is the dominant one, through the mass media, through the congresses, through the seminars, everywhere. How to deal with it? Shall we deal with it with philological method only, or shall we have other methods to deconstruct, how to say, deconstruct, to deconstruct, I mean to show how it is made, how it is constructed, to deconstruct all this discourse today. I think you see what is the answer. The answer commanded by the actual situation now, which we are living now, is that, of course, we must continue. I must say it, because I have always feared to be accused to put philology away. No, we must continue the philological work. But we must absolutely create new climate to meet this new situation, historical situation created by the history of Islamic societies today, which are characterized by the development of this mythical demand to identify themselves, to have their identity, as they say, to have their asala in Arabic. But this asala, this identity, is searched with ideological and mythical approach. And we, as scholars, we must clarify this situation and say that there is a mythical approach and there is a scientific approach, which is not a positivist one, but which is open to integrate even this imaginary, which is basic in the mythical discourse, l'imaginaire social. The imaginary, you have talked about imaginaire, for example, in 19th century, and before, the imagination has been, of course, presented as a very, very bad faculty, very bad, very negative faculty. But now we have a new look to imagination, a new describing the social imagination, and we are discovering that this social imagination can be the main point to show in the functioning of culture, of any culture, but especially Islamic culture today, because this Islamic culture is cut historically from its own heritage, this heritage which it claims to go to. We do not know in Islamic society. We do not know the reality, the historical reality of Islamic culture in the classical age. We need so many works done in German style. Yes, I say it without, yes, I believe in it. Done in German style to really know what is going on in this classical age. For example, the book I mentioned yesterday of Van Es about Zwischen Hadithun is very important because it shows what has happened in the first century of the Hijrah from a historical point of view. And this meets all the mythical look which is developed by Muslims now about this period. And you see then what's the response of the scholars to this ideological and mythical trends which is dominating today. And without this new look and this new method to study Islam and to study even the main text of Islam, that's why I am interested first in the Quran and in the Seerah. And if I have time, I shall be interested also in the study of the Usul al-Fiqh, which is very basic in the structuring of what I call the Islamic reason.